Hi. As many of you know, I'm a Sub-10 speedcuber, and I've been Sub-10 for around 2 weeks now. I get the question a lot of the time just asking how I improve so fast, and I thought I'd share some tips with you on just how I managed to improve at the rate I did. Alright, so the first thing that helped me was actually switching cubes. So I've been using the WRM maglev for quite some time now, and I thought that it was the right cube for me, but then at my most recent competition, I decided that it requires a very specific turning style. It's a very accurate turning style no matter what setting you have it on. And I think it's just the way that the pieces are designed. So you have to be very accurate, and that can be a good thing because it makes up for it in speed. But at this competition, I just realized that I don't want a cube that I can easily lock up on. So what I decided to do was actually go back to my old main, which was the RS3M 2020, and just give that a try in competition. And I ended up with way better results than what I probably would have gone with this cube. And I think the reason for that is, and I think JPerm has actually talked about this in one of his videos, it's like the new cube feeling. I'm not too sure what it is about it, but essentially when you switch to another cube, you perform better because it just feels different to what you're used to. But at the same time, I think that using this cube before this actually made me improve, because when this requires more precise turning, I am focusing more on efficient solutions instead of spamming TPS. So on this cube, I was actually able to go fast, but still have good solutions. And I think that probably cut down my times by about, well, at least like a third of a second. Now the thing is, since I switched back to the RS3M and I changed it to my main after that competition, I actually sometimes go back to the WRM, and I usually do this whenever I feel that my turning is starting to be a little too imprecise on the RS3M. And what I'll do is I'll just go and I'll do like 15 solves or something on this, and I really focus on my turning because this cube demands accurate turning. So I work on that, and then I'll come back to this cube, and most of the time I can see the improvement pretty clearly. Okay, my second tip for getting sub 10 is to actually deliberately look for things in your solves that you can improve on. And a lot of people just think of this as recording a few solves and seeing what they think isn't as good as what they could do. But I would actually suggest an alternative way of doing this. So what I've figured out has worked out best for me is, instead of looking for things that you aren't doing well, whenever you get a good solve, and I should mention that this works probably best on full step solves, because if you get a lucky solve that is a PB, this tip isn't going to apply as much. But on a full step solve that you get good time on, you should really take note of what worked and what you did well. So for example, I noticed that on full step solves where I was getting like 8s and stuff, the reason why was mainly because I was really fluid throughout my F2L. There were no pauses whatsoever. And after that, I knew exactly what I wanted to improve on, because I knew what it was that allowed me to get times like that. So once I had recognized that, what I did was just work on that one area. And that leads me into my third tip. So my tip 3 for getting sub 10 is to do deliberate practice in the specific area that you want to improve on. Instead of doing it all as one solve and trying to tie that into the solve, just practice whatever it is that you want to improve. If you want to improve your cross speed, just do a scramble and try and do the cross as fast as you can. If you want to improve your F2L fluidity, do some scrambles with cross solved and see how fast you can solve F2L without any pauses. And I mean, that's what I specifically did. I just go ahead and I'd solve the cross, That way, all I needed to do was work on my F2L. And the way I did this was at first just don't focus on speed. In fact, I didn't even time it. I just focused on making sure I had no pauses. Some people find that it helps to have a metronome to do this. Some people find that it's just easier if they do a casual solve. But for me, I just try to go sort of mid-speed, but still like have some speed, and the main thing I was working on was just that fluidity in F2L. My final tip is one that you've probably heard before, and that's don't think, just solve. This mindset, it's kind of difficult to achieve when you're solving because so often, especially when you're trying to improve, all you're thinking about is what you can do better. But it's better to reserve that kind of thinking for when you're doing untimed solves, because the amount of time that you spend just thinking about the solve rather than actually executing it is rather significant. So if you find yourself doing that, then I would probably say that you need to do some untimed solves. And once you've got that, then you should just be able to put it all into your solve without having to think about it. You should just not be thinking about what you're doing while you're solving. So yeah, those are all of my tips, and that's what helped me get sub 10. Obviously, it's different for all different people, but this is what worked for me. And if this also works for you, I'd love to hear from you. If you have other tips for people, then definitely leave it down below. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.